Hi, I'm Jim Munro and this is Sun Speed. This weekend sees the finale to the Formula One season for 2013. It's the Brazilian Grand Prix. And it also signifies the end of a certain person's Formula One career, doesn't it, Chris?
Mark Webber.
Yes.
Yes, Mark, it's his 217th and final Grand Prix. Afterwards, he's waving goodbye to Red Bull and his nemesis, Sebastian Vettel, and he's going off sports car racing with Porsche.
Yeah.
I think there are going to be a few tears, to be honest, at Interlagos. I think it's going to be an emotional weekend for him. But on the other hand, I think he's doing exactly the right thing.
Okay, is that because he's been playing second fiddle to Sebastian Vettel all this time and you think it's time for him to move on?
Well, partly. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Red Bull will deny this until the cows come home, but it's fairly obvious that...
Bulls and cows, I like it.
Very good. Yeah. But it's pretty obvious, that Vettel has been their chosen son for some time.
Yeah.
But that's not the only reason. Webber is now 37. There is an age issue here.
Yeah.
37 is a bit knocking on a bit for a Formula One driver these days, especially when you've got kids of 18 coming in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably the right time for a couple of reasons.
Okay, well, tell us a bit about his record, really, because he's going to go down as one of the fast guys, but he's not going to go down as one of the greats, is he?
No, possibly not. But the guy has won 9 Grand Prix, which is not to be sniffed at. And some of those races have been at blue ribbon events like Monaco and Silverstone.
Yeah.
So he's had a great career, and I don't doubt that he's going to be a big shot in sports cars as well. He's already talking about trying to win Le Mans next year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very, very good driver, but I guess that history will probably remember him as the man who didn't quite match Vettel in the same car, I'm afraid.
Well, it would have been nice to have seen some other drivers perhaps trying to match Mr. Vettel in a Red Bull. But having said that, he has been a very popular driver on the circuit, hasn't he?
He has, and particularly in Britain. He's been living here for donkey's years. In Buckinghamshire, he loves English football, big Manchester United fan, like a lot of people from Buckinghamshire, I suppose. And we like to think of him as an honorary Brit. And I think also, in return, we like his kind of straight-talking Aussie style. Yeah. We've all sympathised with the guy a bit, I think, about having to play second fiddle to Vettel in this kind of Red Bull era. And of course, we've got to thank him for introducing the phrase multi-21 into the English language, haven't we?
Fine moment.
So, yeah, we're going to miss you, mate.
Multi-21, mate.
Multi-21, Seb.
Okay, well, look, let's turn our eyes back onto this weekend in Brazil. What do you think we can expect out there in Interlagos? Well,
I just hope we get a better race than we got last weekend in the US.
Yeah.
It was a great shame, it's a great venue, Austin. They had a big crowd there again, tons of enthusiasm from the local community. Yeah. Unfortunately, Formula One served up one of those races with that old bugbear of tyre wear and the management of tyre wear. Yeah. Nearly all the drivers were kind of coasting around, if you like, trying to preserve their tyres. Just about every engineer was on the radio to the driver saying, look after the tyres, look after the tyres. Yeah. Bit of a shame, really. We could have done with a bit more action. There was a little bit of passing behind Vettel, but not a hell of a lot.
Well, tendencies were good over the weekend, but do you think that race will have perhaps killed some of that enthusiasm for F1 in the States?
Well, let's put it this way, it's not going to help. No. You've got to remember that American fans are brought up on NASCAR and IndyCar, and take, for example, the Indianapolis 500 this year, where I was happy to be at. There were 64 lead changes in that race. Now, in the American Grand Prix, we got precisely none, apart from when Vettel pitted, So it's very hard for Americans to get their head around that sort of racing. But having said that, the Formula One community loves going to Austin. They love having the Formula One community there. So it creates a big buzz. And I think that's going to see it through for another year or two at least. But let's hope there's a better race next year. That's what we really need. Yeah,
the race itself was a bit of a microcosm of the season itself, wasn't it? Vettel herring off into the distance, and as you mentioned, a few little spats going on behind him, but not an awful lot. Yeah. A bit of a disappointment, that, really.
Yeah, by and large, as you say, a microcosm of the season. What's happened this year is that I think it's been an interesting season as far as what I would call the Formula One purist is concerned. The type of fan who marvels at someone being on the top of their game during a particular era, in this case, Vettel. Yeah. But for your casual Formula One fan, there hasn't been too much action to get excited about, certainly from the middle of the season. It was good at the start of the season, lots of different winners, bit of a mix and match. But from midway on, the excitement has waned a bit, and we have to be honest about that. It hasn't been the greatest season.
No, and it's another German dominating, just like Mr. Schumacher before.
Well, yeah, but I don't think he's another Schumacher. I think he's much more likeable than Schumacher was.
He's got a sense of humour.
He's got a sense of humour. I like the guy. He's fine, and you know, you can't argue with what he's done.
Yeah. Okay, well that brings us nicely on to what the Brits haven't done this season.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a so-so season for the Brits, hasn't it? I mean, you know, Lewis Hamilton won a race in Hungary, let's not forget that.
Yeah.
And he's still in with a chance of finishing third in the World Championship, so it's not to be, you know, not too shabby.
No.
Button, of course, has had a poor year in a poor McLaren, and it seems to be getting to him now. He seems a little bit dispirited now.
Yeah.
De Resta has been what I would call inconsistent. Yeah. And Max Chilton has been what I would call unconvincing, and both of those two are still wondering about whether they've got a future in Formula One next year.
Yeah, De Resta's been told maybe December before he finds out.
Yeah, Force India are traditionally late with their decision making, and they can afford to take their time this year. There's quite a queue outside the door.
Indeed. Okay, well, Interlagos then. What are we going to be looking at? Who's going to be the front runner? Need I ask?
No, you probably needn't ask. But I think what we'd all really love to see, isn't it, is Red Bull gifting it to Webber. You know, that would just be wonderful. The multi-$21 question, if you like, is it going to happen? If they tell Vettel to go to one side and let Webber through, is he going to do it? Now Vettel's chasing an amazing record of 9 straight wins.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I think he's going to go for it, and I think it's for one last and one more painful time Webber's going to have to give best.
Right. Okay. Well, more importantly then, where's your money going, and what's your 1, 2, 3 for this weekend?
Okay, well, I think if you remember in the US Grand Prix, I did take an outside punt on Hamilton because I got good odds. Nearly made it, one place off a few quid for each way, but not quite. So this time, I mean, I'm going to have to play it straight. I think it's going to be Vettel, Webber. And probably third is more or less a shoe-in for Grosjean. He's been going so well lately, and quite a revelation in these last few races. So a bit boring, but Vettel, Webber and Grosjean. I would love it to be Webber, Vettel and Grosjean, but we'll see if that happens. Okay, well look, thanks as always, mate, and cheers. We will see you again for our end of season review. We will. We're going to do one before Christmas. Indeed. Right. Now don't forget, you can follow all of this weekend's action from the Brazilian Grand Prix on the Sun's website at thesun.co.uk/motorsport.